You're listening to Thunder Quack Podcast Network. This is the Thunder Quack Podcast, the official podcast of Thunder Quack Podcast Network, where anything can happen. So strap yourselves in and hold on to your butts. It's Thunder Quack time!
Hello and welcome back to the Thunderquack Podcast, the official podcast of thunderquack.com, which you can get early every Tuesday over at patreon.com/thunderquack, just like our Patreon producers Brian Murawski and JJ Samuel, or you can wait and get it late every Friday on podcast services across the galaxy. I am one of your hosts, Michael Cohen.
And I'm your other host, Amanda Conkin.
And we just recorded a very long post-show. We record the post show before the show, which is weird and probably not the way that most people do it.
But we've always talked about that the reason the post show exists is because it just naturally evolved out of the fact that you and I can't start podcasting right away or it's garbage. We have to talk about random things for at least 20 minutes. So that's how the post show originated. So I think we're being true to the core root of it.
It made sense. It made sense when the show was about a specific thing that we had like a format that we were trying to follow. I won't say that we had to follow because we don't have to do any of this, but that we were trying to follow. But now that the Thunderquack podcast is formless and basically a blob of thought gas on the internet, it really doesn't make a difference. Like what we talk about, I think the only difference is that what we tend to talk about on the post-show content that we record before the actual episode, it tends to be a little bit more personal.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think the logic there is that it's you and I catching up over the week we don't really talk much during the week. So unless we have a reason to.
We would not talk if we didn't podcast. I just want to
probably
make sure that people understand my friendship style. I have lots of friends that I do not talk to. Ever.
You're a bad friend. That's what you're saying.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you say if you don't schedule a podcast with me every week, I'll forget you exist.
It's not that I'll forget you exist. I'm not. I don't call my parents either, so it's.
You're really not painting yourself in a good light right now. What was I saying? It's like us catching up, but then it's also the content for Patreon, so it's the people who actually care. It's not it's not the casual listener who might show up. Not to say that people who listen off of Patreon don't care, but I think that we know that the Patreon audience is a captive audience, right? They've for some reason chosen to actually pay for the content when the content is free. So it's almost like there's almost like an inclination to be a little bit more candid with that audience than with the general audience.
Yeah.
Who might the general audience might literally just be here for one episode, right?
Yeah.
Like when you talk about the regular episode content, you always have to treat it like this might be someone's first episode. But with the post-show stuff,
I apologize to anybody that has to deal with that.
With the post-show part of it, you can assume this is most certainly not your first episode because I don't know somebody who would be like, yes, please, I will pay $10 for this podcast I've never heard before. That is also free. Because that's the level that you have to pay in order to get that bonus content is $10. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't think that there's anybody walking in off the street making that purchase. If you are that person, please let me know because we need to dissect your brain for science and find out what's wrong with you. I'm very confident that I'm not offending anyone with that joke. Do you want to jump right into a topic? You got anything to say before we get into one of our two things we want to talk about?
We do have some news that Darth Vader died. And
Oh, we do.
I
Yeah, David Prowse. Yeah.
and I just love little old me. I feel like I took a photo of it when I was back in the Okanagan, that like he's one of the names that I have spelt terribly incorrectly on my little like green piece of construction paper where I wrote down all the cast names of all the people in and I just remember knowing as a little kid that there was like so many different people that played Darth Vader, because David Prowse is also not the like Anakin that you see when he's
Yeah.
dying, because it's a different, there's like a bunch of different people that played Darth Vader. And so David Prowse was the like person inside the suit, and then you have James Earl Jones, and then I actually forget the name of the guy that you see as Anakin. But
Sebastian Shaw.
Sebastian Shaw. Yeah. Sorry, I have that written on my, it's written on my little piece of paper. But yeah.
There are 4 actors who've portrayed Darth Vader,
Mhm.
and it is David Prowse was the body of
Mhm.
Darth Vader in the original trilogy. James Earl Jones, obviously the voice. Sebastian Shaw was the wrinkly prune head at the end of
Mhm.
Return of the Jedi, and then Hayden Christensen plays him at the end of Revenge of the Sith. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the 4 actors.
And
Well, I guess that there's more now because of Rogue One. So
oh
I don't
yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head who plays him in Rogue One.
Oh, I've got to look it up.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm
Hayden.
doing.
I would love it if it would be Hayden Christensen. That would
It
be
is
the best.
definitely not. I would know that if that were the fact. Yeah, it is. It's most certainly not Hayden Christensen. But whoever did it, Spencer Wilding plays.
Mm.
Actually, there's 2 people. I mean, 3 people play Darth Vader in Rogue One, because you've got Spencer Wilding, Daniel Napris, and then obviously James Earl Jones providing the voice once again.
But who's Daniel? Like, why is there 2 people that have to play him?
I don't know.
You know what? It's one of these things where you can go so many years with like 2 people playing it, and then you like, oh no, there's this like 10-minute scene, and we really need 2 different people to play it.
Yeah, they're both stunt performers. So there you go.
Interesting.
Um,
I just love James Earl Jones so much, and I'm so pleased that he gets to like, he got to continue to be the voice.
Yeah, he's the voice in Star Wars Rebels as well.
Oh, really?
When Vader.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Ugh, yeah. Man, I love Hayden Christensen transitioning into Darth Vader. Like, sorry, just when you Google Rogue One Darth Vader, on the right, it's like the Darth Vader like Star Wars character Wikipedia, and the picture is Hayden Christensen looking all moody, and I just, it's great.
I love it whenever you see him in the Darth Vader costume and he's got the headband on, because they put a headband on him to keep the hair out of his face, and that I think like attaches to part of the helmet, because he's obviously not nearly as big as David Prowse was. David Prowse was he was I think 2-time Mr. Universe.
Oh, really?
And he was a massive human being, a massive human being. And he filled out the suit quite well, as that imposing force that you needed him to be. And Hayden Christensen, not so much. Hayden Christensen's not. I don't think that he's a small guy. It's not like he's like a Tom Cruise or a Robert Downey Jr., where he's standing on 3 apple boxes in order to be the same height as a human being. But I can say that because everybody, I should hope by this point, knows that I love both of those actors. But they are both hobbits.
Okay,
and
I
that's
do
fine.
just want to be really clear that there's 2 broody pictures of Hayden Christensen, and one of them is much sexier than the other one. So I just like need to make sure that people don't think that I'm talking about the weird one where he's got the scar on his face and he looks like deranged. Sorry. I just sorry, carry on.
Like there's like weird, like there's like the lighting, right? Is that the one that you're talking about?
Some sort of weird, yeah, I don't know. It's like he's
His
like
hair's
looking
being
really
blown about.
angry. Yeah,
right?
yeah, his hair is being blown back. But then I think it's the one where he's like just like he's like making decisions that he can never come back from. That's the one I do. That's the one. That's the picture.
Yeah,
It's like you
that
remember.
is his reverse shot while Mace Windu is holding back the lightning from Palpatine,
Probably, yeah,
and
I
it's
think that's it.
melting Palpatine's face.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
That was definitely one of those moments where George Lucas was writing, and he was writing Revenge of the Sith and going along, and everybody's like, okay, whatever. And then at some point, somebody went, "Doesn't he have to look all weird though?" And George was like, and then the lightning rebounds off of Mace Windu's lightsaber and melts Palpatine's face.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out in post.
That's how it works. That's how it works.
And it's a very weird moment to me. It's since the first time that I watched it. That was like that might actually be the first moment where I went like, are the prequels good? Like sitting in that movie theater in 2000 and what was that, 5? I watching Revenge of the Sith for the first time and having that moment where it's like, this is how you're gonna do it? He melted his own face. Why would he do that? Why would he
That's
choose to
ridiculous.
do that?
Yeah.
Like he
No, he's
knows
just
what's
not.
happening to him
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
keeps going. And then
Yeah.
later is like, I've been left hideously deformed by the Jedi. No, you did that to yourself. Why would you
Not
do
the
that to
smartest.
yourself,
Not the
Palpatine?
smartest cookie. Hey, can we just talk about a very important piece of information that I just found out? That
Yeah.
Hayden Christensen and Rachel Bilson were married, and I just think that I'm upset that I didn't realize that
Are they
prior to
not
this
still
moment.
married?
No, apparently they divorced in 2017,
Oh,
according
well,
to
that's a bummer.
the very, very reliable source of Wikipedia. So,
I mean,
yeah,
why Wikipedia is actually a very reliable source.
okay,
That's one of those misnomers. It's not really a misnomer because it's not a name, but
yeah,
uh, Wikipedia is actually super reliable because I try it sometime. Try going on Wikipedia, actual Wikipedia,
and making a
and putting something
wrong
false
answer.
on Wikipedia.
That's
It'll
fair.
be gone within 15 minutes.
That's fair. I
Um,
mean that is
you,
true. Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
I just because I'd found this out like a couple days ago that Adam Brody and Leighton Meester are together, and it's just like if you had to pick somebody to play Rachel Bilson in like a movie, you would choose Leighton Meester. And
Well,
I just
she's
think that's
literally the sequel to Rachel Bilson,
yeah,
right?
basically,
Like,
yeah, that's exactly.
like she plays the summer character in Gossip
Yeah,
Girl.
yeah,
So,
totally. I just
yeah,
think that that's interesting.
it's kind of gross actually when you think about it.
Yeah, I'll give it
Also,
to you.
I don't want to say that this element of it is gross necessarily, but it's not gross. That means that there's a very big age difference between those two, isn't there?
Okay, I don't know how old Leighton Meester is, but Adam Brody is 40.
Yeah.
Leighton Meester's 34. So it's 6 years.
That's not too bad. That's
That's
not
not
too
bad.
bad.
Okay, so Leighton
It kind of
Meester is
depends on when
like
they
okay,
started
okay, no,
dating.
no, no, but here's the thing. Leighton Meester is only like a couple days older than me, like 11 days older than me, and I would totally date Adam Brody. Like,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
on. Like that wouldn't be weird.
But
Adam Brody is well within the scope of not weirdness for somebody that I
but
could
if you
date.
were 25 and he was 31, like there that would be a little bit more weird, right?
Eh,
Like 35 to 34 to 40 is not that big of it. Like it's that thing is like as you get older those gaps become less important.
yeah, it's true. Because you become
But
more of a person when you're in your
yeah,
30s.
but like no offense to 25-year-olds, but you don't know what the hell you're
But full
doing.
offense. But full offense to 25-year-olds, let's be honest.
No, absolutely no offense because when I was 25, I was stupid and did very stupid things. But it's the fact that we let 18-year-olds make decisions for themselves is just it's insane. Because at 18 years old, like, in fact, one of the most important decisions that you'll make is what are you going to do with the rest of your life? That somehow we drill into teenagers' heads that when they become 18 years old, really 17, because you have to make these decisions while you're still in high school, you are expected to determine what the outcome of like the rest of your life will be. Like
Yeah.
you have not yet lived half of your life, hopefully, right? Like life expectancy being around 80 to 85. You have not even yet lived half of your life, yet you are expected to determine what the rest of it's going to be. That's that. And you still don't have the wherewithal to determine whether or not, you should or should not do a keg stand, right?
I'm
Like
upset by how
that to
young
me,
Ed Westwick is. Sorry, carry on.
I don't even know who that is.
Okay, come. He plays Chuck Bass on Gossip
Oh,
Girl.
okay.
He's the person that plays opposite. He's also a like. Well, no, I can't compare him to Adam Brody. He's much hotter than Adam
Excuse
Brody.
you.
Oh, come
Oh
on,
boy.
come on, come on! Ed Westwick and Adam Brody. Like
He is no.
objectively, Ed
Uh-uh.
Westwick is hotter than Adam Brody. But
No.
like
No, that is
subjectively,
definitely a taste. That is
no, come
definitely a
on.
taste. Yes. No, he is
Okay,
not
because here's the thing.
objectively better
No, no, no.
looking than Adam.
Here's the thing. The subjective is Penn Badgley and Adam Brody are both like on the same subjective hotness level. But there is something about Ed Westwick that is like objectively hotter.
Adam Brody is way hotter than Penn Badgley.
Well, I mean, yes,
Any
agreed.
day of the
But
week.
yes,
Any day of the
but
week.
that is a much more subjective thing because they're both kind of weird looking.
Adam Brody and Zach Levi, because like we're playing within
Yeah, I
the
mean,
Josh Schwartz verse, right?
yes, I get it. Yes,
Adam
and
Brody and Zach Levi are in the same space, but Zach Levi
is hotter than Adam
way hotter
Brody.
than anybody else we've talked about tonight,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
right?
okay. But here's the thing. If you want to like up it a notch, Zach Levi is hotter than Ed Westwick. So I feel like there's this weird like lateral when you get from TV to movie land. There's like a different
Look,
scope of
if Ed
hotness.
Westwick could open his eyes all of the way, you might have an argument, but he's incapable of it. Therefore, your argument is invalid. It's
Good.
invalid. No.
I love that.
Adam Brody,
Okay, no, but
you know what?
Ed Westwick is British. And
I'm putting
like
this on
it
Twitter.
helps.
So
It
then he's
helps.
playing with a handicap. What are you saying? Like, no offense,
No,
British people, but
like British accents are pretty hot. I don't know. Have you listened to Henry
the
Cavill
accent
talk?
is the only thing that makes up for the way that they look.
What?
You're gonna
Wow.
make British people upset.
I mean, just British people in general. Sure, I'll give you that
Yeah.
one. But no,
As a monolith, if we're talking about them
okay.
as
I will
as
say
one
that
thing.
the internet will be on my side if you put this out there.
I
Like,
am putting this out there. I'm gonna okay. Are we just gonna do this between Adam Brody and Ed Westwick?
yes,
Okay.
because otherwise you skew the. Come on! Ed Westwick is way hotter than I can't believe this.
How do we
It's
spell
a
Westwick?
debate.
West.
Wick.
Okay.
I just don't think that you think I think that you're not objective about Adam Brody because I understand how much you like Adam Brody. And don't get me wrong, I think Adam Brody is good looking. I very much yes, very much Adam Brody's hot. Ed Westwick is better looking.
Okay, I've tweeted the poll.
But okay.
It's out there on Twitter.
But there's other things that like objective hotness. Like both Chance Crawford and Ben McKenzie are also objectively hotter, but they're like in no way people that I think are hot. Like I actually don't like Chance Crawford or Ben McKenzie. I don't think that they're very good looking.
Which
But
one's
I
Chance
know.
Crawford?
So Chance Crawford is another guy on Gossip Girl.
The Deep?
Not. Yeah, the Deep. Yeah, the Deep. Yeah, he's the Deep. I should have used that reference. So the Deep,
Yeah.
and then Ben McKenzie from the OC. Because again,
Ben McKenzie is way hotter than him than the Deep. But
they're on the same scale of like types of hotness. In the same way that Adam Brody and
no,
who's the other person that
I don't know what you are talking about. You have completely lost it. You've lost it.
I don't think
No, you've lost it because they're not the same. Ben McKenzie is puppy dog hot. he's a sweet little orphan puppy dog that you just want to wrap up and take home and
You know
nurse
what?
back to health.
Okay, I am realizing that I'm speaking in Amanda terminology in which there's like a certain threshold of like there's certain men that I know are attractive, but I'm just not attracted to them. And I feel that both Chance Crawford and Ben McKenzie, while I get what you're saying, they both kind of don't do it for me. So in
Okay,
different ways. And so
but
maybe I'm being skewed in my
as is often the case with arguments that you try and make on podcasts, which is awful because they're being recorded, and so like we can go back and we can quote you verbatim. In any case, you are literally saying that your subjective opinion, which is that they don't do it for
is
you,
is objective.
puts them in an empirical category together, and those two things don't make sense, Amanda.
No, but they do.
That doesn't
No.
work.
Okay, but it does because if I was casting for a film, I understand objective hotness, even if I don't consider people hot. And like when you're looking at categories of
But it's still a
casting,
subjective thing to put, what was his name? Chance Crawford? Is
yeah,
that
yeah,
Yeah,
and Ben
and Ben
McKenzie.
McKenzie in the same category, because that category you have just defined as people I understand are objectively hot, but
Okay,
I don't find hot. In
but
the
at this, but
statement
and
of
in this
that, you're
current, and
saying that it's subjective.
in this current thing, they're both like cast members of the two shows that we're talking about. Like
Yeah,
I maxed out the men that I could compare from Gossip Girl and the OC. So that
yeah.
is the other threshold within which I'm working. Okay, here's my final question and then we can talk about normal things. Although I will say I would just love us to do a ratings podcast at some point in time that just talks of like hotness. Okay.
How
Hayden
hot boys are.
Christensen. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. It's my favorite thing to do. And actually Charlotte's pretty good at that too. Maybe me and Charlotte will do a little podcast while she's staying here. Anyways, is Hayden Christensen and Adam Driver, I feel, are also similar hotness levels. No?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue with you on that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about the two of them. They're hot for opposite reasons. Hayden
Yes.
Christensen is hot
Agreed.
because of the way that he looks, but then he opens his mouth and you're like, I don't know if your charisma's really there, pal. Whereas Adam Driver, you look at him and you're like, what is this man? What is this configuration of pieces? Who did this? Who's responsible? And then he opens his mouth and you're like, what is this odd, nasally, syncopated, percussive voice coming out? And why am I so attracted to it? Why does it make me so happy to listen to? Because listening to him say, this is from, I can't remember the name of the movie. It's the one that he did with Daniel Radcliffe that I still haven't watched because I can't. It's not on any of the streaming things, so I'll have to rent it at some point. But I really want to watch it.
Oh, the F word or whatever, right?
Yeah. And he comes out like this scene. It's one of the only scenes that I've seen from it where there's the one where they're walking down the street that's really good, but there's this other one where he comes out and Daniel Radcliffe's about to be a bummer, and he's like, oh, you don't be a bummer. I just had sex. Like I'm having the best day of my life or something. I just had sex and I'm about to eat nachos, and he's just like the way that he says that he's about to eat nachos. It's just like.
Yes.
It's so good. It is my favorite Adam Driver quote, which is why it springs to mind. But just like that, Matt the radar technician, everything that he's ever done, everything he's ever said, his cameo in Inside Llewyn Davis, he doesn't. If I recall right, he doesn't speak. I think he might nod at one point, and then all he does in that movie is he's like, because Inside Llewyn Davis, they're folk singers, and Justin Timberlake is like a successful one, and Oscar Isaac is not successful, and mostly because he's a crappy person, so he can't manage anything. And Justin Timberlake has like invited him to come record on this track, and Adam Driver is another singer that's also recording on this track, and it's like this weird 1960s like pop folk thing about being launched into outer space, about like the space program, right? And Adam Driver's whole thing in that scene is that he's like he's the background singer, and he's not even singing. He just goes outer space in the
Oh
background
my
of the
gosh,
song.
I think I've seen that. I feel like
It's
I thought that was a parody. Okay.
He's intoxicating in that scene, and he is so far from the focus of it. His purpose in that scene is that he's like his presence annoys the hell out of Oscar Isaac, Llewyn Davis, right? Like he just because like Llewyn Davis is this like genius. He's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
talented, but he's really troubled, and it causes problems for him, and he's emotionally stunted and blah blah whatever. Watch it. It's a fantastic movie. It's a Coen Brothers movie. Um, and
I didn't
the whole
realize
purpose of Adam Driver in that scene is just to be
it'd be
like
annoying.
is just for Oscar Isaac to look over when this happens and be like, I'm sorry, what just happened? But like he has to keep going with the song, and
It's
it's
just,
that
yep,
scene is worth watching that movie for
I love
alone.
it. Gotcha. Hey,
Um,
I found the Chance Crawford like comparison to the OC is
okay.
Cam Gigandet, who played some random dude on the OC. Well, apparently he was in like a whole season. Kevin Volchek. I don't remember who that person was, but I know him because he's the dude from Twilight. So, but he's the same like type of hotness as Chance Crawford.
The OC. Okay, sorry. Who is this person?
Cam Gigandet. And it's just that when I'm searching for, it's just like the people also searched for, they come up as this like beautiful like faces of all these beautiful people at the top. So that's just why I'm
Yeah.
coming across these people.
Okay.
But Cam Gigandet and Chance Crawford could be compared. See, I
Yes, they could
understand
be
it being
compared for
hot.
sure.
Yeah.
They look like they should be models and not actors.
Yeah.
The
I
two of
mean,
them.
uh-huh. It's
Yeah.
fair. I just have to say, like that whole scene with the Deep talking to his abs has got to be like it's just so great.
On The Boys. Yes.
On The Boys, yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
man, who else can we talk about and objectify on this podcast? Okay,
I
sorry.
mean, I love that uh it it started with two women,
I
right?
mean,
It
yes,
started with Leighton Meester and Rachel Bilson. That's where we started. And we so quickly got off of that and started talking about The Boys. Not The Boys the TV show, but the
the
Pretty
like
Boys.
the boys around them.
Um
Yes,
they I'm sure that there are probably listeners who are questioning my sexuality, but don't
I
worry.
think that
I'm
no, I think that you just like underestimate how much I like talking about hot boys
I
and
like talking about Hot Boys
your
too.
conversations. Yeah, no, I know. I meant
We
the podcast
look,
people.
and it eventually got to Adam Driver and Oscar Isaac, which
It did,
is
which then
which is definitely in my wheelhouse of Hot Boys to talk about. So
and everybody will notice that I'm not comparing Oscar Isaac to anybody because he's incomparable. So
he is.
that's
There is no other.
there is no other. It's just Oscar Isaac,
Yeah. Yeah, there's just Oscar Isaac, and then there's everybody else. There's
basically.
everybody else.
I'll give you that.
It is one of those things where it's like the Earth is however many billions of years old. The galaxy is 10 billion year whatever it is years old, and you're lucky enough to live at the same time as Oscar Isaac.
I don't know.
Like congratulations, everybody.
Everybody should be really excited. I would
Yeah,
like to know. I mean, I feel like maybe this will get some feedback because I would like to know if other people think that Oscar Isaac can be compared to anybody. I feel like there's got to be somebody that could compare to Oscar Isaac.
yeah. I don't know. I
Mm.
mean, like Brad Pitt back in the day. Like if we're not worrying about about the time period, I would say like Brad Pitt in like the early 90s, like Interview with a Vampire Brad Pitt. I think
No
you could
man,
make an
like
argument.
the no whatchamacallit, the like everybody down on the floor, oh come on, they fly off the cliff in the Thelma and Louise Brad Pitt, that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interview
That I mean
with a
that's before
vampire,
that.
I don't know, Interview with a Vampire Brad Pitt is so weird. I don't like
Well, that
Interview with a
like
Vampire
that
Brad Pitt.
don't think about that movie specifically, but just
Yeah,
like
but
where
no, but
he
he
was.
had to have long hair for so long. Just like there's so many
Yeah.
photos of him with that hair. Anyway, sorry. I don't know if I would. Anyways, I again, I won't try to compare Oscar Isaac with anybody right now, but I
I
will.
just think like it because
Uh,
what you're when you're talking about Oscar Isaac, it's amazing that Oscar Isaac and Adam Driver are in the same movie twice, like on more than one occasion,
yeah.
and because I think they both have a very similar quality, which is that they just have this unbelievable charisma that even when and if you look at their filmographies, they play a lot of awful people that are just like whether they're straight up bad guys or they're weird or just like their behavior is reprehensible or there's something about them that is unrelatable, you still zero in on them in a way that few actors can accomplish. like like to throw like Chris Pratt out there as an actor who definitely has a charisma and is definitely a lot of fun in a lot of things, and very likable. We're not going to talk about the current controversy surrounding him, but just in terms of like likability, um, on the surface, that's definitely there. But then also, there are a lot of Chris Pratt performances that are real stinkers that you're like, woof, man, I don't want to watch any more of this. Right. And like,
Um.
I would put the two Jurassic World films in that category of like, Chris Pratt does not save this. He does
That's
not whereas I think if Jurassic World were everything that it is, which is, or Fallen Kingdom, which they're both very, very poorly written films, uh, if everything was exactly the same, but you replaced Chris Pratt with Oscar Isaac,
oh.
in that it would be like night and day. You would
Huh.
be like, I don't care. I don't
Interesting.
care about any of this movie's faults because look at him, right?
These photos in
Um,
Dune are so great. Like he's just like,
oh my god,
oh my gosh.
it is a tragedy that we're not getting that movie in
I'm.
within the next month. We were
I
supposed
know.
to be seeing that movie very soon.
Ah,
Uh,
bummer. Hey, we've
man,
talked.
COVID sucked.
I realized that we've talked about this before because I'm pretty sure that we've ranked the Chris's before, like the Evans, Hemsworth, Pratt, Pine, and I feel like there's one
Yeah.
other in there, but it's like there's a good Chris
Do
comparison.
you want to do that right now? Because I'll do that right now.
I feel like
I'm
we've
gonna
got to
call an
be
audible and
similar.
say that the first thing that we were gonna talk about, we're not gonna talk about.
Okay.
Well, I don't want to. It's gonna bring us down.
Okay.
This is way more fun than what we had planned.
Okay.
So let's absolutely rank the
Let's
Chris's.
rank the Chris's. I love this
Yeah.
podcast so much. I'm having
I
so much
think
fun. Okay.
I think that in light of this, what's the church, Life Song Church or something like that, I think that Chris
What?
Pratt is connected with, that is like homophobic and
Well, I mean,
anti-trans and all
I
of the
mean, yeah, Chris Pratt cannot. He
it's
can.
all of the bad things that you
Yeah.
would expect a church to
Yeah.
be, and he is associated with it. And I I will say a lot of people have stood up for his character, and I think that does mean something. I do also think that it's bad form to be associated with a church that is associated with homophobic and
Mhm.
bigotry. Let's just use the word
It
bigotry
just
to
makes me
cover
feel a
everything.
little bit icky. So, we don't need to talk about Chris Pratt. But okay,
Well,
we
we
ranked
just put him
fourth.
at the bottom of the
We
list.
just put him
He's
at the
just at the
bottom of the
bottom of
list.
the list.
But there's got to be a different Chris that we can talk about then too. Is there like a fifth Chris? Like,
I well, I mean, so what Chris's do we have? So the ones that we had previously are Pines, Evans, Hemsworth, Pratt.
and Pratt.
I'm
Um,
just gonna Google famous
I am trying to do that too.
Chris's.
Famous Chris's.
Nope, I misspelled that and got famous chairs. Uh,
I mean, Christopher Walken does show up, so
Christopher Walken does show up.
okay.
Famous Chris's. Okay.
I feel like I'm gonna remember a famous Chris, and then I'm gonna be sad that I couldn't like think of it on command.
Yeah.
But it is
Who I don't
it
know who
seems like
these
they've
people
just
are.
been. You don't
I
know who
don't know
the
who any of
okay.
these famous Chris's are. And
Okay.
some of them are very old men.
I mean, there's a lot of old man Chris's. There's also a lot of generic white boy Chris's. Oh,
Yeah.
Christian Bale. Does
So,
Christian Bale count as a Chris?
I mean, if you want to
Not so much.
stretch,
I don't.
if you need to replace, uh,
I want to replace Chris Pratt because I feel like it's unfair that he automatically loses. I mean, he does automatically lose. I'm not going to say that, like, but it's like maybe we could be more objective with a different Chris. But
yeah,
that's okay. We can just rank those three. We'll
I
just
mean,
rank
yeah, yes, we can just
Pine,
rank those three.
Evans, and Hemsworth. Oh,
Yeah,
see, now this is hard. Okay, but Chris Evans wins, right?
yeah, Chris Evans wins.
Yeah, Chris Evans wins. So then it's just figuring out between Pine and Hemsworth.
It's really just between Pine and Hemsworth, and
It's a hard
God,
one.
this is hard. This is difficult. This is difficult.
I just, I
Okay,
want to know what you say. You say, you let me know.
I let's. Oh, I don't know if that's actually easier because now that we've narrowed it down to 3, right? We've removed the fourth Chris.
Yeah.
We can do Mary. What's the how do we say this without swearing? Is it Mary Boff Kill? I think that's
Mary Kill. Can
yeah.
you say screw? Screw is fine.
We can say screw. Screw Mary Kill. Screw sounds a little bit crass, but that's all right.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I felt like that was intentional. What was your word? That was a euphemism?
Boff. I think it's like a British thing.
Okay. I've never heard it before, but I don't know. That makes it harder because their rankings are different. Oh.
Yeah, Urban Dictionary. Urban Dictionary, Kill Boff Mary.
Oh, okay.
A game popularized by the TV show 30 Rock, played by 2 or more people. Game participants trade off selecting 3 individuals. They may be living, dead, and or fictional. For the other participant, you know what? Okay, here we go. Here's the new fourth Chris, Christopher Reeves. There you go. You want to throw him in there because we can go living or dead.
I mean, that's fair, but I mean, I don't want to play Mary Kill with him. Oh, I'm sorry, I totally swore on the podcast.
You did. 118. I have to note it. I have to write it down. It has to go in my notes. Oh, I can put a timeline footnote, actually.
There you go. I'm sorry that I caused you editing work, but it's such a famous game, and you have to say it correctly.
Kill Boff Mary or Boff Mary Kill. Come on.
Okay, I'm not saying that.
Amanda cussed at 118.
Sorry.
That's the note.
But come on, it's been almost like 6 years. That's pretty good. I don't think I've sworn previously on the podcast.
I don't know that you have. Okay, so between the 3, between Evans, Pine, Hemsworth, how are you gonna do it?
Oh,
how are you gonna do it?
No, see, because this changes it. Okay, so I have to first tell you then, because I feel bad that I'm gonna do this. So my hotness ranking does go. Then it's gonna go Evans, Pine, and Hemsworth. But straight up, Pine is the one that I would kill, and then I would marry Chris Evans. Mm-hmm. And then
you have to say it.
I don't want to say Boff. It's so stupid.
I mean, you can use whatever euphemism you prefer.
Boff Hemsworth though. Obviously. Hemsworth. I can't remember his name. Anyways, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When it comes to hotness rankings, I don't like. I have to say that Hemsworth is hotter than Pine. I gotta do it. I gotta do it.
I mean, he's more boffable than Pine.
Have you? Yeah. Yes. When it comes to the Boff Mary Kill, I think you have the definitive answer. I don't think that there is another answer, and I feel really bad for Chris Pine in this conversation because we don't want to, but we're being forced, right?
But and then straight up though, like, because I think overall I always really struggle between Chris Pine and Chris Evans in terms of like them both being lovely Chris's that I find genuinely attractive in both ways. Because here's the other thing too, Chris Hemsworth, not my type.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a wrench in it though.
No one can say that with a straight face.
I'm gonna throw a wrench in this though.
Yes. Okay.
Both of us immediately jump to Chris Evans and say Mary.
Yeah, because it's Chris Evans.
Because it's Chris Evans. But I'm as the only one in this conversation who's actually married, and has maintained a long-term relationship. I'm gonna say that with my experience being married, I don't know that I could keep it up with him.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Is he high maintenance?
His standard is so high
That it would make you feel a little bit like that you had to do just so many things better in life.
Yeah,
And
I
maybe
don't know
that's
that
great. He
it's
would
not.
challenge you to rise to be the best version of yourself.
He would for sure. But I think that I would get that with any of the three.
Okay.
Like, let's be clear on that. I
They
think
would
that they're
definitely make me go
all
to the gym in
great
ways that I
people.
probably should. I probably should go to
But
the gym more.
I don't like. I don't I don't feel like I could live up to Chris Evans. I just couldn't do it.
But
I
I would
don't like.
want
I
to.
think that I would
But that's the thing
always
is I would
feel
want
like I
to.
was letting him down.
I
You know
mean,
what I
yeah,
mean?
that's true. But he wouldn't marry you unless he really loved you, so you don't have to worry too much
Yeah.
about it.
Well, here this is the other thing that you have to look at is like Chris Evans. Where's the long-term relationship there? Because he's not married. Is he
Oh.
with anyone right now?
I don't know. I hope he's with this girl that he took a photo of on his Instagram with a dog. It was really cute. It seems like she rescues dogs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Chris Evans and this like dog rescue lady should be together. I really hope she's not a member of his family because that could happen too. Sometimes he posts members of his family. But
Yeah, like so is Chris Evans married? Let's see what the Metro has to say
oh,
about
I know
this.
definitely he's not married.
He's not,
I
but
have
this is breaking down his dalliances, his various
okay.
relationships. So he has dated
Who's
the
the
likes of Giselle Bundchen and Sandra Bullock. Sandra Bullock?
Oh, Sandra Bullock.
What
That's
that
exciting.
okay,
I didn't know that.
but he's 39. He's
Don't be
39. He's
ageist.
not that
Don't
much
be
older than
ageist.
us.
Don't be
And
ageist.
he's dated Sandra Bullock, which is interesting. I mean, like, good for him. Good for her, for
She's
sure.
great. I love Sandra Bullock. She's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I love Sandra Bullock too. But what I'm saying is that there's a very big
Age
age difference there.
That
He
is
dated
true.
he dated Jessica Biel for 5 years between 2001 and 2006. She then went on to marry Justin Timberlake.
But I will
After
say
that.
that Jessica Biel and Chris Evans are like the epitome of early 2000s romances. That doesn't in any
Is
way
that true?
surprise me. No,
Okay.
I had no idea that they dated. But when you go
Okay.
back to your brain to the early 2000s
Sure.
and you're like Chris Evans and Jessica Biel, yeah, it makes sense.
I Rumors of Chris Evans and Lily James dating emerged in July as the pair was spotted together in London. When is this article
Ooh.
from? This is from September 15th of this year.
Oh,
So we are
relative.
current.
What are you?
This is
Who are
current
you reading?
events.
You're reading the Metro. How do you think that this is
Metro.co.uk. If you want
the
salacious
up to date?
gossip, you
Oh,
gotta
you
go
go
to
to.
the Brits for
I
it.
didn't know that. I didn't. I mean, I guess I get that you should go to the Brits, but I didn't know that the Metro was the place to go. So
It's just the first one that popped up in the Google search.
gotcha.
USA Today asked Chris what he was doing in the Capitol, but he declined to go into specifics, only saying he was
Whoa.
taking meetings. Oh boy. Who has Chris Evans dated in the past? Kate Bosworth, Jessica Biel, Giselle Bundchen, Emmy Rossum, Christina Ricci, Minka Kelly. Oh man, Chris Evans and Minka Kelly, those babies would be beautiful. Oh man. Kristen Cavallari, Amy Smart, Diana Agron, Sandra Bullock. That was in 2012.
Wow.
Wow.
Right on.
Lily Collins, and then 2016, Jenny Slate.
Okay.
Oh, maybe this. When was this originally published? Don't be doing that to me, the Metro.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's
Matt and Lily met on the set of 2016 horror comedy film Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. No, wait, who's that about?
I was
Matt
gonna
Smith.
say that's not. I was gonna say that's about Matt Smith.
That's not.
Wait, Matt Smith
Who
and
has Lily
Collins
James dated is what it says
Lily
at the
James.
end. Sorry.
Gotcha.
What? Yeah, this article is confusing because this then says that they dated in 2015, but it acts like this article is from Tuesday 15th of September 2020. I hate the way that they do dates in the UK. It's wrong.
I have so many good like comparisons of these because I feel like for like equal opportunity thirsters that we could do a female version of this, and I'm coming up with some really good
Okay,
Boston
good. I was hoping that you would
image.
do that because I
Yeah.
can't do it, right?
Oh. Oh, I guess
The
yeah, that's fair.
the tables can be turned
Yeah.
in the year 2020, but we're not far along. What wave of feminism are we currently in? Third or fourth?
Oh, I don't
Because I think
know.
it's going to be
I
like
think
sixth or seventh wave feminism before guys can objectify women without getting called out
But
for it,
see,
right?
I feel like we have to. It's an equal opportunity podcast for
No,
objectification,
now that
and
now that
so
we've done the boys for sure. Like
yeah,
I think that
yeah,
we've covered our bases there, and we've talked about a
yeah.
lot of very pretty boys. We've definitely hit the high points. I Now we can safely transition into talking about the ladies, but
It's true.
I but notice my language is that when I say we talk about the boys, I'm very like
You didn't say girls. Yeah, it's
I don't say the girls, I say the ladies because the ladies deserve more respect than the boys. The boys don't deserve respect. That's where we're at right now in the year 2020.
okay.
Boys are still boys, and they don't get to be anything else yet.
That's fair.
Uh,
A lot of boys
but
are
the
boys.
ladies
But
are the
can I just
ladies
say
and not
what
the
the best
girls.
and I just like have you listened to the song The Boys by what is it, Charlie XXI or whatever?
No,
Oh, it's
I only
beautiful.
listen to the songs that I have purchased on iTunes,
Oh,
and
okay.
so it's a lot of old music. I
Okay.
am I am firmly in that stage of my life where I don't listen to new music anymore.
Okay. So I think you should after this or
Okay.
before we are done the podcast because we won't get it. But it's Charlie XCX and it's called Boys and it's just this beautiful like amalgamation of all these different boys. And I will say that one of the things that I like, and I think about this a lot in terms of like it's a Thunderquack podcast, so we have to get somewhat political because I often think about this like the like because I like to admire beautiful men. And I
Hmm.
understand that men like to admire beautiful women, but that there's a
Yeah.
very big bias in society in which there's like a like it's it's frowned upon to objectify women.
Yeah.
Rightly so, because of power dynamics. And I have to say that we've talked about this before when we talked about the Justin Trudeau thing and how people were objectifying Justin Trudeau and you're like, well, the difference between that is that he's a man in power and his beauty is not going to become a compromising like people aren't going to think lesser of him because people objectify like it's there's a lot of power dynamics that go along
Yeah.
with stuff like this. And so but one of the things that I think is so beautiful and why I love being a girl and talking about boys is super exemplified by the Charlie XC I don't even know how you say her name. Charlie XCX. I don't know. It's probably we probably say it a certain way. But um is that the video has all sorts of different types of body types and of ethnicities and of like personalities, and it's just this beautiful celebration of like cute boys. And there and the thing with that is like there is Maroon 5 did an okay job of that too, like he has this song about girls, right, as well, where I don't remember, but it's the one where it's like circling around him and like it's a bunch of like famous women that are like singing that he's singing with, which I like as well. And like that's like a good sort of wholesome like sure like look at all these like awesome women. But like when it comes to I just feel like women are more for like I say the term object right like that there's like less objective beauty standards in a way because women just that thing that we talk about. I don't know if we've talked about this before, but like the idea that like you see tropes all the time in movies of really hot women dating otherwise schlubby dudes, right, where it's like these dudes that are kind of like the protagonists of the film and then they like date like these really
Yeah,
hot people, right?
it's the
Yeah,
Kevin James effect,
yeah,
right? Where it's
and
like Kevin James is somehow married to Leia Remini,
yeah,
who's like
yeah,
incredibly hot, and
yeah,
he is a big
yeah.
fat guy.
And it's like you just do not see the opposite of that.
Yeah,
There are very few shows in which the female is in some way overweight or otherwise ugly and she ends up with a really hot guy. And the examples very specifically of these are the show Amy Schumer's movie She Thinks She's Pretty or How So Pretty or
yeah,
um And then there's the other one that like Isn't It Romantic, right? And in both of those, the guys that they end up with are not disproportionately good looking to who they are as like people. And it bothers me a little bit that like there's this shtick. I don't know if you watched Isn't It Romantic, but it's Rebel Wilson, and then the guy that's like a super annoying comedian, but he's kind of funny. He's from Pitch Perfect, and he played against her in Pitch Perfect as well. Um, but he's like this sort of like over the top comedic guy that's kind of annoying. And then also
Mhm.
Chris Hemsworth is in the movie as well. And it's like the shtick is that that Chris Hemsworth loves her. And like that's the thing, that she's in this rom-com in which Chris Hemsworth is the guy that she's gonna end up with. And then she doesn't. She ends up with the schlubby dude who's like
Yeah.
great. He's kind, he's lovely, he's a nice guy, and that's
But
the
why
truth.
did they have to
But it's
cast
like,
a schlubby
but
dude
it's
to
but
play the
it's like
nice guy?
it's like yeah, like why don't they? Why? And
Yeah.
it's because people are already asking. It's like it has to do with like audiences, right? We're already asking like people to watch a movie about like a woman and like about, and it's like, well, it's like so unrealistic, like this wouldn't make, right? Where it's like there's just like so much more forgiven. Anyways, I know that
Yeah.
that's not like a deep critical analysis of stuff, but it's like I would like you to show me one movie in which a really hot dude ends up with an otherwise average looking girl. And maybe it's just that girls clean up prettier than boys do. Like, there's certain things that you can do to otherwise average girls to make them look quite pretty with like a certain amount of like primping. So maybe there's something there that I'm being unfair to. Anyways, let's get into objectifying some women, is what I'm saying.
But before
Here.
we do, I just want to correct myself because I did call Kevin James a big fat guy, and I'm not really correcting myself. I don't want that to sound like I'm fat shaming anybody. As like bodies are bodies, you are who you are, whatever. When I say Kevin James is a big fat guy, what I mean is that he is the type of guy who uses that as a joke, right?
Yeah, he
Like
leans
and
into
in
that in his
sitcoms, like
characters, right?
he's the guy who like falls over and breaks a chair, right? Like
Mhm.
that's what I meant when I said that. So I didn't want that to come off as like me
Right.
fat shaming anybody. Like that's not, to me, like
I
that's not important. It's Kevin
mm,
James can play whatever characters he wants.
but
Um
but very much in, you're using it to typify like a certain kind of
like a Chris
like
Farley,
a
Kevin
joke
James, like Paul Blart Mall Cop Beverly Hills Ninja, like
joke type
I'm
of
gonna I'm gonna do a goofy thing and then trip over my own foot and fall through a paper wall, right? Like that sort of like they're just, it's a very specific type of comedy that
right.
like if you can't tell it from my tone, I don't. When I was a kid, I definitely thought it was funny. When I was like 12, I thought it was hilarious. As an adult, I can't fathom why anyone over the age of 13 would go see a Paul Blart movie, and yet they made two of them. Like
Yeah. No,
it
I get that.
astounds me. But
I do
anyways, and it
also,
all just plays into that like as long as you're funny,
then you can do
you
whatever. Yeah.
can
Yeah.
you don't have to be Chris Hemsworth. But to your point, that doesn't count for women, right?
Yeah.
Like and further your point, like when you say like women have more um there's more malleability there because women can do their hair nice and wear a lot of makeup and wear a sexy outfit, and there's more leeway there. Whereas with a guy, I think in order to make a guy hot, they have to be cut, right?
Like
Like
it
you
just,
kind
there's
of
something like, but here's the thing too. Like Adam Devine is the name of the guy that I was talking about that's in the Pitch
yes,
Perfect. And he actually is
yeah,
quite good looking. Like he's pretty good looking, but he plays a type that you're specifically supposed to be slightly turned off by. Like in it's
yeah,
specifically like he did a whole like in Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, which fun movie. But he plays the like idiot between him and Zac Efron's character,
yeah,
right? Like he's there as the idiot, like that you still like see yourself as a regular Joe. You can watch that movie and be like, I get the hot girl, right? And there's a movie like When We First Met that I quite enjoy that he's actually the lead of, in which he doesn't get the girl at the end, but he gets an equally hot girl. So it's like I get that he as like an actor plays with these tropes in interesting ways. So it's like, but Still, I don't know if you have you seen When We First Met? I love that movie. It's got Robbie Amell in it, and
No.
anyways, it's super fun. He goes back and relives the day that he met the girl that then
Oh,
wound
I
up
think I
the
remember
next
the
day
trailer from
meeting.
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then she met Robbie Amell like the next day, and
Yeah.
it's so much fun.
It's what in the trailer, like it shows, like it's like they meet at Halloween or something, right? Like at a
Yeah.
Halloween
They
party.
needed a Halloween party. Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, it's so good to have a friend or whatever." And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah. And then he becomes her
You know
friend.
what? That's why I didn't watch it. That right there in the trailer, because whenever you get into that friend zone stuff, it just like it's like that to me is one of those things.
And that's
but,
the one redeeming part of When We First Met.
Mm-hmm.
That I mean, to ruin the movie for you is
I mean, it's a romantic comedy. You can't.
But the thing is, no. The thing that I really like about it is that he does not get her in the end. Like that's the good part of the movie is that they show that it's like, no, dude, you're not supposed to get this really beautiful girl who wants to be your friend. You guys are such good friends, and she's in love with this other guy. Why are you being an a-hole? And like the whole thing is that there's this peripheral friend that's like her friend and he doesn't get along. And anyways, it turns out that they're very good together. So it's like it just is like sort of this interesting.
I would love to see, in the same way that you're saying, like show me the movie where the schlubby woman or not, like typically attractive woman gets the hot guy and it's not just played for jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see a movie like a buddy movie, like a Dumb and Dumber or like a Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, like a movie that is about two friends. Yeah. And that's what the movie's about. It's not about falling in love. It's not about
but that are about idiot women.
No, but that's a guy and a girl.
Oh, like that could be fun. I mean, that could be fun
because there are many movies that start that way, but it always ends with, and then they got married and had kids and became breeders, right? Like it always ends in the same like typical like generic hetero cis story, right? Like it's always that's always the end point. That's always where, and that's why that conversation becomes toxic, because that's how we're raised by media, right? Is to believe that, well, like guys can't be friends with girls. And it's like I would say that the last 8-9 years of us podcasting together, it proves the point that I can be friends with a woman. Like it's not I don't think that's news to anybody, right? Like it shouldn't be, at least, but we're told by media that it's impossible, right? That like, oh no, and eventually
it doesn't happen nonchalantly. Like so few things. So my fallback like show, and for as problematic as it is when you look back on it, Friends has actually aged rather well, except for the
homophobic
jokes and the sexism.
It's a product of its time.
It's a product of its time. But
it's not malicious. It's just where we were at as a society.
Yeah. I will say that there are not as many Ross and Phoebe relationships as I would like to see in society, because there's just some beautiful, like in the latter seasons, there's actually some like great like Ross and Phoebe stuff, and it's just like their relationship is so non-sexual. And
I will point out that in the one where they almost, I think that's the name of the episode. Yeah. The one where they flash back to before Rachel shows up to her. I think it's Rachel's bachelorette party. It's the night of her bachelorette party. So it's like, it's like a couple months before, or like, whoa, something just fell over in the office. It's like the month before. And there is a moment where they, like right after Ross finds out that,
Rachel.
I can't remember his wife's name.
Carol.
Because he's married,
Carol.
right?
Carol, yeah.
That Carol's gay. Yeah. Phoebe's the first one that he tells.
Right.
And they almost have sex on the pool table in the bar that becomes the coffee house.
Yeah, but I write that episode off as them just being like, why can't you just have a relationship between a man and a woman that's not sexual? Oh yeah, I wrote that out of my head. Damn it, Mike. There
Sorry,
are no examples. There are no examples of
it's
platonic
just not
friendship
there.
that are like main character platonic friendships. Because I feel like sometimes they put them in peripheries. Does everybody doesn't D have a good relationship with at least some of the guys in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Or can we just not use that show
I haven't watched enough of It's Always Sunny. I was about to go to Community and say that Annie and Abed
Oh
never
yeah, they have a good
never have that
relationship.
moment, but they do, because in the season 2 finale, when he becomes Han Solo in the second
Oh
half of that
yeah,
paintball episode,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's totally one-sided, and it's actually not Abed, right? She, like,
But
Annie,
yeah, it's
just to play into the trope of Annie always falling for these guys that tell her what
oh
to
yeah,
do,
oh
is
yeah, I love
that
that.
like, which it like kind of breaks her out of that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because it is very much like where she's becoming very attracted to Abed because he's acting like Jeff, because Jeff acts like Han Solo,
Yeah, I
right?
love
Like,
it so much.
it's yeah, it's so good, man. Community is the best TV show ever made. It's I can't go an episode without saying it. It must be true. Let's objectify some ladies.
Okay.
Give me your list.
I was just writing them down because I just forgot that. Okay. So one of them is because we were talking about her and we're not going to actually talk about her on this podcast, so I had to include her in this list. Is
Okay.
Rosario Dawson,
Okay.
Zoe Saldana, and Michelle Rodriguez.
Saldana. Yeah. Okay.
And sorry, Saldana and Michelle Rodriguez.
Okay. That Zoe Saldana is easily at the top of that list.
Oh, okay.
Easily.
Okay.
Easily.
I'm also very bad at this because women all look the same to me.
Yeah. This is no good. I can't
Sorry.
leave you in charge of this.
I'm so
Oh my
sorry.
goodness.
I'm kind of
Also,
like, oh, look at these attractive ladies.
also, please do me a favor and pick 3 less relevant women. But
Okay.
anyways, they're all in stuff. But like, if you were to go to any guy and go like who are the 5 hottest women on the planet, Zoe Saldana might make the list. She might make the
Okay.
list.
Okay.
But I would say like maybe 3 or 4 years ago she might have made the list. I don't know if she would make
Michelle
it today.
Rodriguez.
I love
Come
Michelle
on.
Rodriguez too, but I don't think she's gonna make that list. Maybe she would make that list in like 2003.
I
Maybe.
guess so. Fine.
When did the first
I
Fast and Furious come out? 2000?
Sure. But I couldn't think of anybody to include in the Rachel Bilson, Leighton Meester category. Because I wanted to compare those two and then throw somebody else in there. But I'm not good at like ranking women. I guess.
The first Fast and Furious is 2001.
What about
Well,
Jordana
okay. Well,
Brewster?
let's take this out of my hands, okay, and out of your hands, and let's let
Okay.
Google do the work.
Oh.
2020. I'm doing this on my work computer. I probably shouldn't.
Women. Hottest women of 2020.
I'm
Okay.
okay.
I thought for a really long time about that one, Mike. I've been thinking about it for like the last 20 minutes, and I was like,
I
have a really good one.
appreciate that you've been thinking about it. Ugh, I'm not gonna. I don't want to click into any of these websites.
Emilia Clarke, Margot Robbie, and Blake Lively. That's a good list.
There you go. That's a good list. List.
Mm-hmm.
Margot Robbie is the hottest.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Blake Lively for sure.
No, Margot Robbie.
Huh.
110%. And I guarantee you, if you Family Feuded this one and you asked 100 guys, that 90 of them would say Margot Robbie.
Would say Margot Robbie? Huh.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Have you seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
No.
Have you seen that movie?
No. So
no?
Maybe
Okay.
I don't understand Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
But I did watch The Big Short, in which she's in a bathtub. So I feel like there's some objectification.
I'm sure. I don't remember that scene specifically, but I might be conflating it with stuff. It's where
nobody will listen to the boring information. So Ryan Gosling gets you to listen to it in a. Hey, we should do the Ryan comparison after this. Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds, and I'm sure there's another one somewhere in there. Sorry. We'll continue to talk about women. Okay,
Yeah.
Margot Robbie, Blake Lively, and Amelia Clark.
Oh, I remember this scene now. Yeah. And she just explains it in the bathtub. Yeah.
While drinking champagne.
Yeah, and I mean like when you rank these, I think that the hotness and talent are actually the exact same list. If we want to go like who's the hottest and like who's the best actress, it's Margot Robbie, Amelia Clark, Blake Lively. That's the list.
Interesting. Okay. What's your Boff, Marry, Kill list of those?
This one is hard because I don't think that I know enough about them as people. Okay. But I will say Margot Robbie is oh man, this is tough. I feel like Blake Lively is probably the one that you marry.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that based on the fact that she is married to Ryan Reynolds and they've had a very healthy relationship.
Of course, and then you can like imagine that you were also Ryan Reynolds or Ryan Reynolds. I was like, did I get the right Ryan?
Well, yeah, exactly.
But Amelia Clark,
you get to be Ryan Reynolds in that scenario.
Amelia Clark looks marriageable because she's so smiley.
No, Amelia Clark would get on your nerves so fast.
Okay.
So fast. So fast. It's funny, she's the only one that's in a Star Wars, and I'm gonna say I would kill Amelia Clark.
Oh.
Sorry, Amelia Clark. I wouldn't. I want it to be really clear, just like with the Chris's, we wouldn't. Right?
And also we understand that we are nerds on a podcast objectifying beautiful people. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we're fully aware that this is what nerds get made fun of on the internet for doing. And we have just spent an entire podcast doing exactly what gives us a bad name. I'm very impressed if people have continued to listen this far.
Is that really?
I'm just having
is that what gives nerds a bad name? I don't know. Yeah. Who are you talking to about this stuff?
I feel like that's why
I think it's fighting about whether or not a Star Destroyer has 3 or 5 engines.
No,
I think that's the thing that people make fun of nerds for.
Nobody pays attention to that part of it. What they pay attention to is the stuff that they can easily understand that you're talking about and that they think that you're ridiculous for talking about it. Nobody cares if you fight over the semantics of stuff that's within a show because people don't understand what that is. Because people, if you say Star Destroyer, they don't understand that you're talking about Star Wars, right? But if you're talking about Amelia Clark and whether or not you would marry her, people are like, "Oh my god, you nerd! She wouldn't even look at you," right? That's what
I don't think that that's the right use of the word nerd. I don't, because I think that that's a very mundane thing to do is to rank hot people. I think that that's more of a jock thing than anything.
This is also what nerds get made fun of for is arguing semantics on the internet.
Yeah, I'm not arguing semantics so much as I'm saying that you're just wrong. But
okay, potato.
I mean, as always, the internet exists and will talk to us about what we're talking.
Why don't you do a Game of Thrones? Why don't you do a Game of Thrones ranking? Lena Headey, Amelia Clark, and Maisie Williams. Or Sophie Turner, because I don't want you to.
Yeah, do Sophie Turner, please.
Yeah, Sophie Turner. I was like, whoops.
Even Sophie Turner, you're still in difficult territory.
She's dating a Jonas brother, and by dating,
I know, but it's about the age. It's about their ages. You put me in a compromising position. You have a lot more leeway than I do, Amanda.
I mean, I guess
I can get in a lot more trouble. If anybody were listening to this podcast.
Joe Jonas is 31 years old.
That's okay.
Oh, I didn't know that Sophie Turner was married to Joe Jonas. I thought she was married to the younger one. Oh no, the younger one is married to.
Here's the real answer to your question, to like our question, I suppose, of who's hotter, Adam Brody or Ed Westwick. This poll has been up for 50 minutes, and not a single person has voted.
Because nobody cares about those two actors.
So I think the real answer is no one cares. That's the real answer. Is you are dumb for asking this, and for the place where we started in this conversation is fruitless because everybody else just thinks that we're irrelevant and old now.
I mean, that's fair. Oh yeah, I was like, does anybody care about Adam Brody or Ed Westwick in the like common ethos? I'm now trying to find.
Yeah, I don't. I think in the year 2020, nobody cares.
What can you compare Jason Momoa with Oscar Isaac?
No. Those
Okay.
are two very different classes.
I
Those are
guess
two very different
so.
classes of men.
What about Henry
Jason
Cavill?
Momoa is fantastic. He's a wonderful human being, but I mean, like, I think you're putting Jason Momoa to Chris Hemsworth. Yes, you can
Oh yeah,
compare those two
those are definitely comparable. Yes.
because those are a couple of very funny, beautiful meat men. But
Meat man. I love it.
I wouldn't put Oscar Isaac in that category.
Okay. He's not a meat man.
No,
That's fair.
no,
Okay. Um, do we have actual things to talk about in this podcast? I feel like we were going to talk about one other thing. I
we
can't
were
remember
going
what
to
it
talk
was.
about one other thing. We were going to talk about Songbird. Is that what it's called?
Oh
The
yeah.
trailer.
Oh. Who has KJ Appa in it? Who also could be on
Oofta.
certain lists? What?
Oh, KJ Appa is definitely at the top of current lists.
Many lists.
Like
But
he's gonna be in top fives for sure.
really,
He's half the reason to watch Riverdale. And
I
like
feel like the Sprouse dude is hotter than KJ Appa.
I I think that once again you have specific tastes and
Okay.
those specific tastes are you think are empirical and they are not.
Oh
KJ
no no no.
Appa is
Again, I objectively understand that KJ Appa is hotter. He was cast as the lead. I get it.
okay.
Also, they're all very young, so it makes me feel gross because I'm pretty sure the Sprouse was the Ben in the show that I relate way more to
Yes.
the adults on Friends than I do to the young child.
That is in
So
like 2 episodes? Yeah,
that
I
is
should hope so.
yes.
Um,
Oh, Ben's in so many
yeah,
things.
so this movie, Songbird, let me
Yes.
give everybody the rundown of this. And
We
I
apologize in advance for talking about this bummer of a movie too.
watch the trailer so that you can be as outraged as we are that this
Yes.
exists. So the
Yes.
premise of this film is uh I'm gonna play it the way that the trailer plays it. People are in lockdown, quarantine. There's a virus, and like that's why people are locked down. And you're like, oh my goodness, an allegory.
Yeah.
Until the trailer reveals that this girl is in lockdown and KJ Appa can't get to her because she's in lockdown and they love each other, but they can't be together because of this quarantine. And then the trailer reveals that the quarantine is because of COVID-23. So it's
Yeah.
not an allegory. We're just going to straight up use COVID as the plot device in this story.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get into a dystopian, authoritarian government where the Department of Sanitation is a bunch of guys that will just break down your door and murder you because you've got the COVID.
Yeah.
And KJ Appa is immune, so he gets a little wristband. And I guess he's probably a courier because he's riding a bike.
I guess.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, if
Exactly.
you were immune, that would probably be a very good job,
Yeah.
right? You could probably make a
Yeah.
lot of money being a person who is a essentially an Uber Eats or
Driver.
Postmates guy, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
he is the dystopian Postmates guy.
yeah. Oh, that's a better movie. A movie about the dystopian Postmates guy? Come
Yeah.
on. You wouldn't
Um,
cast KJ Appa in that role though, I will say.
this film is not a joke. This film is not
No,
a
it's like
Saturday
a
Night Live
thriller.
skit.
No. It is
This is
being
from the producer of The Purge and A Quiet Place, which tells you exactly what kind of movie it is. And this movie is disgusting and shouldn't exist. That's my assessment of it. You posted this on the Thunderquack Patreon Club, which people can get access to if they are a Patreon supporter at any level. $1 gets you in.
it's a fun place to talk to us about random things.
Yeah,
I enjoy
and you
it.
posted this with the caption "too soon." Exclamation question mark exclamation question mark, which I think is the right way to start the conversation, but the end of the conversation is yes, this is too soon and it's gross.
Yeah.
um
Okay. Good. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't because then like the
yeah,
next day, so after I posted this in Thunderquack,
yeah,
my sister sent it to me unprompted because I this might be a shocker for other people, but my sister not a Thunderquack listener. But she sent it to me and my mom, and she said, okay, so this is nuts, but looks good. I'd watch. And then my mom said, dear God, don't watch that, please. And then she said, also, Sarah, we're bringing one peach jar. Pickles? Question mark. So the conversation shifted very quickly. But
Yeah.
that was straight up what my sister meant. And I was like, what? What is happening? Anyways. So
Yeah.
my sister would watch this movie, and that's all you got to know about Songbird.
It is very disgusting to me that this film was made. It was written and shot and will come out during the lockdown, during the pandemic.
Did you look into, because my question is,
Yeah.
did it start as just a regular movie about quarantine, and then as COVID came, they were like, hey, let's make this very specifically about what's happening right now? Or did it get made because of it? Because I have, one of them is just bad decision making. Like, maybe continue to make the movie as you were going to, and not make it directly related to the terrible pandemic that's happening, and people will judge you less. But if you made it specifically because you're like, what can we film during quarantine with no people in the sidewalks? And, oh, let's make a movie about the quarantine and make it real creepy. Like, one of those is just sort of poor planning that you can count, like, you can correct from. Like, people can, like, you can litmus test it, and you can be like, maybe let's not make it about COVID. But if you specifically made it about COVID, so that's like my biggest question for this. And actually, just like overall, like, I'm really intrigued to see the like threshold for media in films, because television is coming back, it's coming around already, right? Where you can see the shows that have been made during COVID and that are about COVID. And it's very different to then have a movie that's about COVID. Like, it's just different. And I don't know.
Yeah, here's an interesting piece of trivia, and this is just the trivia on IMDb, so it doesn't give any more context than this. But SAG-AFTRA issued a do not work order on Songbird, telling its members to refuse any work on the film.
What?
Which is interesting.
Huh.
Songbird is reportedly the first feature film to be made during COVID-19 in Los Angeles, and is the first major Hollywood movie about the coronavirus. Wow. So there you go. I can see a reality where this has been sitting on a producer's desk for the last 10 years. Yeah. And they went, don't we have a movie about a lockdown thing where the kid is immune or whatever? And they went, let's make it. Like, let's go, let's do it. But I'm really interested in this SAG-AFTRA thing, so I'm gonna try and look this up while I'm gonna do some journalism while we.
It's like slated to come out very soon, too.
It's in December.
Yeah.
Let me see. SAG-AFTRA has told which is a union, in case you don't know that. That's the Screen Actors Guild.
People in America probably know it more.
Yeah, has told its members to refuse work on the pandemic thriller Songbird, produced by Michael Bay. Big surprise.
Oh, geez.
No wonder it's so tasteless. Songbird had been announced in mid-May as a low-budget production that would shoot in Los Angeles. The Performers Union announced the do not work order on Thursday. This was back in July. On Thursday for production company On a Lark Productions LLC. It said the company had this. Sorry, this is an article from Variety by Dave McNary. It said the company had failed to complete the signatory process and is therefore not signed to any applicable SAG-AFTRA agreement. SAG-AFTRA warned members that they could be disciplined if they work on Songbird.
So that's politics, though.
Yeah, SAG-AFTRA members are hereby instructed to withhold any acting services or perform any covered work for this production until further notice from the union. Please note, accepting employment or rendering services on Songbird may be considered a violation of Global Rule 1. Violating this order may result in disciplinary action in accordance with the blah, blah, blah. The producer... So here's what it actually gets down to. A SAG-AFTRA spokesperson also said the producers have not been transparent about their safety protocols, and that is something we obviously take very seriously. Also, as noted in the do not work order, the producers have not yet become signatory to our agreement. We have no further comment. That tells me that there were guidelines that SAG-AFTRA was putting in place, and that this production was trying to get around those guidelines and get into
Or
production as soon
also,
as
there's a
possible.
lot of politics right now with SAG. I'm taking a
Sure.
class on Saturdays, and one of the things that keeps coming up is how SAG is struggling this year because, like, we in Canada take for granted that even our unions, like UBCP, is not struggling as much. Like, SAG is like dying because people aren't paying into stuff, and like healthcare is already a problem in the States, and there's all
Yeah.
sorts of things that are like, I can imagine that there's a lot of different politics and things with SAG, but there's a lot of famous people in this movie, which is kind of interesting. And the plot, I just want to say that, well, I just read this on Wikipedia, that the reason that he's immune is because he was infected with COVID-19.
Hmm.
I just think that
Okay.
that's a weird, anyways, anyways.
I'm
There's
sure. I'm
so
sure
many
that.
things about this movie that are frustrating to me.
Yeah. So the trailer implies a bunch of stuff, as a trailer is meant to. And
Mhm.
one of the things that it implies is that COVID-24, whatever it mutates into, this most recent version which it takes place in the year 2024. Um which is like, it's funny that they're like, oh, it's COVID-24 in 2024.
No,
But
COVID-23 in 2024, because that's what happened with COVID-19 was in 2020, and I
yeah,
feel like it's the year behind
in any case,
2024.
it affects the brain and makes you go crazy.
Yeah.
So they
Like
have turned
zombie.
COVID into a zombie movie,
Yeah.
right?
And that's the part that bothers me, is that it's my freaking biggest fear, you guys. Don't make
Oh,
it
that's not the part
real.
that bothers me. The part that bothers me is that there are people in hospitals right now dying
Yeah, well, I mean,
of from
that's
this disease,
obviously.
and Michael Bay wants to make a quick buck off of it. Not they're not making a movie about COVID-19. Let's be super clear about that. This is not Aaron Sorkin making a
Yeah.
political statement
Movie about
about
people being
Donald
banned from the
Trump and the
US
mishandling
and
of the.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not what this is. This is a bunch of very gross, disgusting producers capitalizing off of the very real and dangerous disease that is COVID-19.
And it is
They
going to make
rush
money.
this
It's
into
going to make
production.
so much money. Ugh.
They want this out during the pandemic.
Yeah.
They're making this movie happen as quickly as possible. It's really upsetting that some of the people that are involved with this because I expect more from Bradley Whitford. Like, I do. I think that he's a very
Yeah.
smart person. KJ Appa, I expect him to take whatever roles he can get right now, because that's like the part of his career that he's in, right? He's the
Mhm.
lead on a CW show. Like, you're gonna do what you're gonna do. Craig Robinson, I get it. Like that's fine.
I
But
like Craig Robinson. Yeah.
Alexandra Daddario, I don't think she needs to do this movie. Demi Moore, like, I don't think
Yeah.
you need to be in this. Certainly not as the bad guy, which she very
Yeah.
clearly is from the trailer. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a tasteless cash grab, and it's the sort of thing that just makes you wonder why.
Yeah.
Like
Because it's
when
going to
people
make
tell you
money.
that well, yeah, and like when people criticize us for being pop culture junkies, this is the sort of thing that I can't defend.
Yeah.
Is like, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right, some of this stuff shouldn't happen. Like, you can make fun of me for watching Fast and Furious movies, they're actually really good, and they actually have like a message and meaning, and even though it's wrapped up in a submarine crashing through ice in the Arctic, which is totally stupid, and like this
Wait, sorry,
ridiculous
which
stuff.
movie are you talking
Fast and the Furious.
about? Oh, yeah.
Which one is that?
It's
That's
one of the way later ones.
7,
I
I
don't think I've
think,
seen that.
right?
I haven't seen that one yet.
um, but like, they're stupid movies, but at the end of the day, they actually are about something, and like
Yeah.
they have a deeper meaning to them, whether even though it's wrapped in completely ridiculous stunts and effects and stuff. But something like this, it's like, this is very clearly, we're contributing to the problem because we're talking about it. but it does make for half decent content, and this is a half decent podcast, so that makes sense. But it is one of those things. There is definitely a part of me that like the morbid curiosity, and definitely like the Schadenfreude of humanity of like, just, this is about as bad as Hollywood can get, right? Like,
Basically, yeah.
actual money has been put into making this film. Not a lot, but actual money has been put into this, and it's gross. It's just gross. So part of me really wants to watch it just to be able to say like, yeah, it is as bad as it looks. But the other part of me is like, don't encourage this behavior, specifically now that I know that Michael Bay is involved. Do not let studios know that you support any of his nonsense.
Can I say though, I love The Island. The Island is such a fun movie.
I think we've talked about that before. We've definitely talked about it on Quiver. The Island is a great movie until the last act, but yes. But again, like, that is a great example of a fantastic screenplay that was produced and directed by a terrible person. But yeah, Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson in a remake of Logan's Run is a fantastic idea. But but Michael Bay is a very problematic human being that shouldn't be working in Hollywood. And on top of that, he's very good at what he does. What he does adds really not that much to, what do we call this, society? Yeah. He's
sure.
kind of, if anything, he's kind of taking away.
There is a time and a place for the Transformers movies, and sometimes those are in my living room late at night when I just want to have a real good fun time. But right now, it's not in the middle of a pandemic when people are dying.
There's a time and a place for a movie like Transformers, but I do think that his films exemplify like the worst of that genre, right? And so other movies like John Wick or the Fast and Furious movies, they get a bad rap as action movies because of Michael Bay films. And like, Michael Bay has made a couple of very good movies. He has. The Island is a very good movie, like I said, until the third act, when it just becomes there are actually sequences from The Island that are in the Transformers movies. They're not sequences, but shots that they just put a robot over. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid. But like the highway chase stuff, where they just took out one composited thing and put a different one, and then they use some of that stuff. Yeah, and then they use some of that stuff again in another Transformers movie.
No way, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Wow. It is the not even the McDonald's of filmmaking. It's like the Jack in the Box of filmmaking, where it's like, look, when you buy Jack in the Box, when you eat Jack in the Box, you know that you're gonna probably poop your pants afterwards, right? Like, that's the risk that you take. It's the only thing that's open. Like, this is what I understand from listening to Americans.
You know what I would absolutely love is if the most controversial part of what we have been talking about on tonight's incredibly long-winded podcast, is that we badmouth Jack in the Box. I just think
that's the thing that people take us to task for.
That people would be like, "How dare you?"
Yeah.
Sorry.
I said that Michelle Rodriguez wouldn't appear on a hottest woman list, but don't you
but
dare.
It's the Jack in the Box. Come on.
Yeah. Anyways, don't watch this movie, please. As a personal favor to us, don't watch this movie. I'm not going to. I don't think you're going to.
It's not my type of movie to begin with. I wouldn't watch this movie even if it wasn't it's scary. I don't like movies that are scary looking. And especially like it's a thing where Contagion, when Contagion became so popular, that's, by the way, probably why this movie was made, is at the same time
100%.
Contagion came back. But I kept wanting to watch Contagion, and I'm like, why, Amanda? It's not the type of movie that you enjoy. as a movie. Why are you watching
Yeah.
it just because of the stuff that's happening? Anyways. But I feel like I sort of there's a fine line between action and thriller that
Yeah.
I just don't like to cross. Like I quite like action movies. I love action movies. But like not so much thriller movies. Like Gone Girl? I don't want to watch that. It seems like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I feel like it's a little too like thrillery or murdery for me. So I'm not
I
going to
think
watch
that's
it.
more of a mystery, but yeah.
Mystery-ish, I guess. Whereas the type of mystery that's in a MI movie, Mission Impossible is the word I was looking for there. That's my kind of action. Where it really is peripheral. Whatever is actually happening in the movie is peripheral.
Oh
Whereas
yeah.
in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, I feel like it's like
I love the Mission
intrinsic.
Impossible movies.
Oh yeah.
Name any of them, and I probably couldn't tell. Other than MI2, it's the only one that I think I could tell you what the actual plot is.
Yeah.
With the rest of them, I'm like, I don't know. The bad guy wants a thing. They don't want the bad guy to have the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah. Mhm.
They got to get the thing before the bad guy gets the thing.
That's how
One
the
time
movies
he's
work.
got to go inside the thing, and it's like, oh, you're in a water tube. You got to hold your breath.
Yeah.
I don't know. One time he's got to hold on to the outside of a plane. I think that might be the same movie. That might be two different movies. I don't know.
One time he's tied to a chair because somebody wants some sort of information and he's naked. Oh, that's a great scene. I don't know what it was for. I don't know why it existed.
Yeah.
And the car crash. But also Fast and the Furious is similarly like, what is the plot of any Fast and the Furious movie? Anyways, sorry.
Yeah, they're about the same.
It's good. Hey, I already talked about Ford and Ferrari on the last podcast. Okay, we've run out of things to say. I don't have anything more to say.
Yeah, I don't know why you were starting another topic. We've been going for 2 hours and 13 minutes.
I stopped immediately. I'm good. I'm done.
We're finished.
So many things have been
That's
talked
it.
about. I'm so pleased that you indulged this like foray into and I will encourage all of you to go listen to the lovely cheerful song Boys by Charlie XCX, if that's how you say her name. It's just like a cute.
I'll leave that. Let's check in one more time with our poll that no one is voting on.
Have I not voted? How come I haven't voted? Is it on Twitter?
Yeah, it's on Twitter. You didn't even retweet it or anything.
I know,
it'll run for it's running for another 22 hours. So by the time that people are hearing this tomorrow morning, there's Patreon supporters, there's still time to vote. But there are 0 votes on this after an hour and a half of it being up. An hour and 15 minutes of it being up. And just to be clear, I have 1,200 followers on Twitter. It's not like I have an account with like.
I will just say, can we just like take a minute? Can you recheck that poll just real quick, Mike? Who's winning right now? Who's winning right now with 100% of the votes?
It's not updated for me. It hasn't updated.
Well, you're in for a treat because I will say, with 100% of the votes, is Ed Westwick.
It's Ed Westwick.
Really.
I'll get my wife to log into Twitter for the first time in probably 8 years.
Come on, she's gonna be on my side. I think you're gonna lose this one.
No, she's not. She's not. I'm gonna see if she's still awake. I'm gonna see if she's still awake.
I'm messaging her right now. This is unfair. You have to let her do it unbiasedly. Okay, I have to message her before you can get to her.
I messaged her first. I'm already done messaging her. She's my wife.
Darn it!
I don't think she's awake. I think she's asleep. Oh, come in here. She's awake.
Come on. This podcast has evolved so fast.
This is it. This is the finale. This is the grand finale of this episode. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to ask the question. We're going to wait for the answer. You can't hear Amanda because I have my headphones on, but come closer to the microphone, please.
I don't want to.
It's very.
You're on the podcast anyways. You don't have a choice. Who's hotter, Adam Brody or Chuck Bass? This is dead air. You got to answer the question.
Adam Brody.
No, yeah, Crystal.
Long shot, right?
Not by a long shot.
By Chuck Bass is in this.
Come on, Crystal. Kate,
she can't hear you, Amanda.
She can't hear me. I'm so mad. I can't
hear you.
You're screaming into the void.
We're not friends. We're not friends anymore.
Amanda has just ended your friendship.
How does she not think?
That's all we needed you for.
How does she not
That's all we needed you for.
Chuck Bass. Oh, I'm so upset.
You guys need to sort this out on your own, separate from the podcast. We need to wrap up. I want to go to sleep.
I can't believe it. I feel so betrayed. I feel so betrayed.
Never mind.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye, Crystal.
You gave the right answer, Crystal. You shouldn't feel any shame in your response.
Feel bad.
That was
Feel
the right
bad.
answer.
So upsetting. I feel like
Told you.
so handcuffed by the fact
Amanda,
that I can't speak to her.
Amanda, how did you not know how that was going to go? Who did she marry?
Okay. Well,
She literally married a Cohen. You had to have known how that was going to go.
You know what?
I knew how that was going to go.
I straight up did not connect those dots until right now.
I had absolute confidence in that.
That makes so much sense. That was a rigged. That was so rigged. Okay. Fine. I get it.
That's it. That might be my favorite moment of the last. How long have we been podcasting? 9 years?
Yeah,
since 2012, right?
Yeah.
When we started,
Yeah.
so 8 and a bit years. Yeah, I think that is my favorite moment right there.
Okay.
Thank you everybody for listening. Wow. If you made it all the way through this one and then you still listen to the 37 minutes that's going to be after this, if you are a Patreon supporter at $10 or above,
you know what to do. Quiver all the way, baby.
Yeah, you know to hashtag quiver all the way and then make an appointment with a therapist. You
don't need real therapy when you've got.
That's true.
It's beautiful.
That's true. I would like to state, for legal purposes, the Thunderquack podcast is not a substitute for therapy. We are not liable for anything. Do not take our advice. Don't listen to anything we say.
Don't listen for anything we say. And also, we do fully understand that everybody we've talked about on this podcast are fully realized individuals that we know nothing about. So, they can just live their lives unaffected by two weirdos on the internet talking about them.
To be clear, we were making a lot of these choices based on subjective, not subjective, but just surface assessment.
Surface qualification.
Very shallow surface assessment.
It's true.
Yeah.
I probably have listened to Chris Hemsworth talk like maybe 5 times.
I'm beginning to wonder if there's something wrong with my internet that like my phone isn't connecting properly because I'm not seeing the votes on this tweet.
There's I'm not seeing the actual votes either, but I see that I've checked Ed Westwick and I voted for him. I'm confused by why it didn't work properly. Is it only gonna work once they're all done?
Maybe there's no. It usually updates as it goes. Let me check my actual. I'm gonna check on my computer.
Okay, and I do at one point in time. Okay, fine, it's all good.
No, it still says it has 0 votes. Did you confirm your vote?
I don't know. I clicked it, and now it's just showing up. It doesn't let me. It's not gonna let me vote again.
Is there a thing that says vote?
No,
I already did that. Vote? We don't need to do tech support on the podcast. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode.
Please come back. Please come back and listen to us talk about.
I think this was a great episode.
It was fun. It was a good time. It's good to just hang out with you, Mike, and talk about random things.
Yeah.
Find a little levity in all of these otherwise crazy.
You have to sign off now, Amanda.
I do. Okay. Stay safe, everybody. Wash your hands and be kind to one another.
Follow the Thunderquack podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook by searching the Thunderquack podcast. You can support us in 3 ways. First, by heading to the podcast service of your choice and leaving a rating and review. Second, by going to store.thunderquack.com to pick up some merch from your favorite podcasts. And last but not least, by heading to patreon.com/thunderquack to kick in with your monthly pledge of support and get cool rewards like early access, ad-free episodes, and extended episodes. The Thunderquack podcast is the official podcast of thunderquack.com. Head to thunderquack.com to discover more great